judge me by my size, do you?
All of a sudden, Nerds of the Old Republic became homoerotic porn.
Yeah, well, we're many things.
Yeah,
They
you
give
know,
us
we
more
are
audience.
many things to many people.
This podcast contains multitudes.
That's
Yes.
right. There
Yes.
you go. Whitman will be proud.
It's almost as if we masturbated the universe. And
Oh!
Yeah, I was gonna hit that bell. Do I get half a bell?
Wait, is this the part of the cast where the drinks have fully kicked in?
The
and
drinks have fully
we
kicked
have
in.
just taken our belts off and are letting our
Yeah, but-
dad guts
yeah.
hang out.
I don't know why you say that though. That is very intellectual stuff. That's Sumerian mythology.
That's right. That's how the world was
You
formed.
know, I'm going to be honest with you.
Rivers that come.
I having been the guy who was the biggest dissenter to that snow crash on that cast, I have to say, out of all the texts we've read so far, it is the best.
I think most
For
of
you,
us have
Mike.
enjoyed it the most.
Yeah, so far. And it's also our highest downloaded episode so
So
far.
far.
as
Yeah,
well.
so far.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So far, this could raise the stakes on that
I
though.
would think Star Wars is
Yeah.
gonna have some fans.
Let's hope.
Come on now, Star Wars.
Our fans in Taiwan. And
I could see that. Some Brazilians.
We should shout outs to all of our multinational fans. Thank you for listening.
Heck yeah.
Absolutely.
That's excellent. Danka?
We want to riff on Star Wars for a little bit then.
Oh, I would fucking love to riff on
Alright.
Star
Yeah,
Wars.
let's
But
riff
we
on
have
it.
not answered the question of the burrito.
No, I can get a knife. I have to
Yeah, no,
go
no,
to the
no,
bathroom.
I've
and
answered
get
the
a knife.
question.
Whoever loves this burrito more will speak up.
I've answered the question for myself personally. I do not want the
Slow.
burrito.
No, Mike,
sneaks
this
off
is not an option.
Stage.
Adam's back.
Our host
Yep.
is back.
I am back. Had to let
And
the
he-
dog out.
Did you bring a knife?
No, I brought the USB key.
Oh. How are we dividing this fucking burrito?
I thought you were joking about that.
No!
All right, I'll bring a knife.
Alright, he's gone. Let's see.
I brought Lord Vader though, the cat.
Thank you.
Hey, Vader.
Yes, Adam has a cat named Vader, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Considering he's also got the lowest Star Wars chops in the whole group here.
I was gonna say it's embarrassing that my cat's name is Darth Vader.
I am now cutting the burrito.
Mike, did you share your initial deep cuts? I know we kind of talked earlier about your readings of Admiral Thrawn and stuff.
I
but
don't have any cool specific story like
Yeah.
Sean does. I was just always
Neither
a
do
big
I.
fan.
yeah, I'm kind of in a
That's all.
similar boat. My family was non-affluent. I like how you described that. Non-affluent.
Oh, man, I do not want that. I thought we were cutting this into thirds.
Yeah,
No, he had his taco.
but so did you.
Oh, I'll take it to go.
There you go. Tomorrow's lunch.
There you go.
What? No, we cannot end the cast.
Oh, for God's sake. Jesus
This is
Christ.
here how peer pressure works.
This is how
is-
we're reliving our
this
college
is-
days now.
Man.
I remember watching Revenge of the. I'm sorry, Return of the
So good.
Jedi.
Where's that beer? We gotta drink that beer too.
Oh
Is it in
jeez.
here?
This is not an option.
Sean is a completist. If you've not seen this, come in.
It's true, actually.
I'm glad you didn't buy a 6-pack.
Can we split this into thirds? Can we split
Yeah.
this one into
Yeah.
thirds? All right.
Take you back, Adam.
It does. Yeah, it does. It does take me back to Closed Doors and Princess Leia. So,
Ooh,
oh.
especially
Yeah.
Slave Leia.
Gold
I-
bikini layup.
Yeah, and you started off with the Rancor, and that, like, brought me back right away.
She was a beautiful woman,
Pour one out for
fantastic
Carrie.
person. Dealt with her issues in life, but she
Yeah,
was
yeah.
a gem.
I never noticed until I heard her say this in an interview that she thought at first that her character was supposed to be English or British.
Mm-hmm.
And the first scene she filmed is the one right before they destroy Alderaan. And so she goes, if you notice, if you watch the film, she goes, this is in the final cut of the film, she uses this inexplicable British accent. And I had never noticed that, and then I watched the film after that, and she does, like, he walks in and he's like, charming to the last, and she's like, Governor Tuck, I'm just surprised you had the audacity to sign the orders yourself or
Yeah.
something like that. She has this like random English accent that
I
she
should have
never
known you'd
had.
be holding Vader's leash.
Right. Not surprised to find you holding Vader's leash.
She there's like I guess there's been like those deep cuts of like how people have figured out how that works, and it's because her work in the Senate.
I heard about that.
The
yeah.
basic proper of the galaxy
Right.
was a British accent, but no, she was Alderaanian, and that was more American.
Right.
It's America.
Yeah. Well, you know what? That's one of the beautiful things about Star Wars, though. There's a lot of retconning you can do. You can go back and fix things.
Yeah.
The most brilliant example of this, of course, is Rogue One. Why were they able to destroy the Death Star with one fucking shot? This unbelievable planet-destroying machine, or, station, or whatever you want to call it. That was always something for years that Star Wars got ragged on for. Really, they just shoot one shot. Like, there's even that great Family Guy where Stewie's Darth Vader, and he's like, "Well, can we just put some plywood over it or something? Get some quotes, But Rogue One explains that. Like 30 years later.
You bring that up. We
Great
didn't even
record.
talk about this in the book. Like Thrawn, one of the subplots is Thrawn trying to figure out what the Empire is building, and it's the Death
Yes,
Star.
yes.
It's the Death Star.
Yeah.
The Dunium or whatever that
Mhm.
fucking
Yeah.
metal is. Yeah.
It was a good example of how you could have done politics and like that sort of minutia detail attention, as opposed to Episode 1.
Right. Without having actual senatorial arguments on the floor, following appropriate procedure. The chair recognizes the committee from whatever.
Yeah.
Naboo.
From
You know,
Naboo. I yield back my time. I said I yield back, sir.
E.T. is actually in that scene.
Oh, yeah, there's
I've
like
heard
a cart
that.
or a fucking car of those things or whatever. Yeah. That's fucking weird.
I feel like
E.T. is
at some point, like George Lucas was just like, "You know what? Fuck y'all. I'm
George
doing what I
Lucas,
want."
George Lucas is such an interesting figure to me because, like, on the one hand, he has got this unbelievable imagination where he can bring in like Joseph Campbell's monomyth, and he can bring in like spaghetti westerns, and he can bring in like Akira Kurosawa like samurai films.
Yeah.
He can bring in all this shit, and he can weave something that has literally become American mythology. But on the other hand, he's also like the brain behind like, I don't like sand, or like,
Yes.
I mean, like the flagrant, like almost insulting symbolism of newly crowned Emperor Palpatine flinging the Senate at Yoda. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he's made the Senate his toy thing. Okay,
Yeah.
we get it. That's like some really obvious symbolism.
Wow.
I don't know. Like, I
This
find
is
him
how
fascinating.
freedom dies with
Yeah.
thunderous applause.
Yeah.
You're either with us or against us. Only a Sith deals in absolutes. It's just fucking awful.
Don't
Isn't
try it, etiquette. I have the high ground.
We've
You
just seen
underestimate my power.
We've been watching them for 10 minutes. Just fucking flip and do all kinds of crazy shit. But because he's standing on slightly elevated ground, it's fucking over. There's nothing you can do
You're
at that
done.
point.
It's funny.
You underestimate my power. Great line. He delivers it with such dark.
Oh, but he's coming back. He's coming back. He's going to be in the Obi-Wan spinoff.
Wow.
Good,
Okay.
good for him.
He'll
At least
redeem himself.
timely.
I
That
felt that
makes
he
sense.
had the physical presence to pull off that character. I felt that he
Sure.
did not have the acting chops to pull off George Lucas's shitty ass dialogue.
No, because you know what? The only thing that made the original series work was that Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill, to the extent, figured out early on that they're just going to have fucking fun.
Right,
Yeah.
They don't take it too seriously.
right.
You
Well,
can't
and
shoot
you
a
have-
spaghetti western as if it's high art.
Right. Exactly.
Well, I think a spaghetti western is high art. I think Sergio Leone's. I'm being totally serious.
I
here.
agree.
I think his
Well,
films are just the
yeah.
most brilliant shit ever.
I
But
think
like,
that was the wrong comparison. Maybe
It was.
more
It was
like
a bad.
people revere Star Wars subsequent of the original trilogy because of its power. It don't underestimate its power. And I think that's what happened. Thank you.
Yep.
That's what happened with the prequel trilogy is that it became like too big for itself.
yeah,
And Lucas was deliberately going for a tonality that the actors just didn't see, and their only option was to read it as he had written it. And that's what it came across as.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think the best actors in those films manage it decently. Natalie Portman is a good actress. No,
No. No. She's wooden and stilted in that whole trilogy. You could tell by the end,
Yeah.
she was fucking done with it.
yeah.
She just wanted to collect the paycheck and go do something fun. Black Swan.
How old was she in the original trilogy? 7? No, 20?
I don't even
21?
know. I remember her
She
from
was
The
young.
Professional when
Yeah.
she was like 13 in that one.
Yeah.
And she was very good in that. And then I think she got Star Wars pretty soon after it.
Yeah.
So she was
She was
young,
young.
but she was
Yeah,
still a
see?
talented actress. Like she could take good direction.
Right.
Lucas
Yeah.
does not offer good direction.
Right.
Even look at his art house stuff like American Graffiti, THX 38,
Yeah.
something
whatever
or
that,
other.
like early 80s or mid 80s or whatever.
I was with you on American Graffiti, but you lost me.
Well,
on that.
that's actually a very interesting Robert Duvall like sci-fi thing. It was his like I think it was his graduate study thing he did for film school, but
Robert
Wow.
Duvall loves the smell of napalm in the morning.
that too. But it's interesting because at that point Lucas wasn't Lucas. But once he had become the Star Wars guy or the Indiana Jones guy or whatever, like he became bigger than his own talent could contain.
Lucas was always one of those guys who was genius at taking his influences and then packaging it into something modern. Indiana Jones
Yeah.
is that. It's like a fucking archaeological adventure story.
Yeah.
You know, it was like straight out of a fucking comic book or something like that.
It was a radio drama. It's
Yeah,
serialized
exactly.
radio drama.
Exactly. And that's, you know, I mean, like Star Wars has become so big that people don't appreciate how brilliant it was in 1977 when he took what was basically like the cheesiest kind of movie you could make. You know, the 1950s style, you know, space opera.
Mhm.
And he, like, decided, I'm going to do that. But I'm going to, like, throw the hero's journey at it. And I'm going to throw Akira Kurosawa at it. And I'm going to throw a fucking classical music score by John Williams.
Yeah.
Which is, in
All
my
hail
view,
John Williams.
the
Oh yeah.
biggest thing that made Star Wars is the music. It's the only thing that rivals it is possibly the score for Lord of the Rings in terms of like
Mhm.
what it does to the tone of the film and the grandeur that it like inspires.
The best part of that story too is that how like ass backwards all of the production was. If you look at the original storyboards and his original plans, it's very different. And really the only thing that made it work was the fact that he was limited and he had to work with what he had.
Right.
And just like Spielberg with Jaws, he was able to take something and snatch victory from the jaws of defeat, basically. And by taking all these disparate elements and throwing
Yeah.
them together, he created something that was fresh. And that was the key.
I agree. You know, I said the classical score I think is one thing that makes Star Wars Star Wars. Another thing, and this is to your point, is like the way that Star Wars, unlike most futuristic science fiction movies, I'm using air quotes, people at home, science fiction movies, you know, they have this like very polished, shiny sheen to it. And Star Wars is like a fucking, it's set in a junkyard pretty
Mhm.
much, you know? And
Yeah.
it's like, I got an air speeder, but it looks like it's fucking 25
Yeah.
years
Shit,
old.
yeah.
And
It's lived in.
exactly. It's a very lived-in universe.
Yeah.
And that is a really unique touch that makes Star Wars, you know, immediately recognizable on screen.
That works for Ridley Scott's Alien, too.
Yeah,
If you
it
look at
does.
that, yeah.
I was just going to say, and I think that's why the first 3 flopped when they went back into the prequels, because they were so shiny and green
You're right.
screened, they did not have the grit of the location shooting
right.
that the others did.
But that was part of George Lucas always trying to push the envelope.
Sure.
If you look at what he did with his 80s huge successes, is it was always finding a new way to make something amazing on the screen that would just wow the audience. And he was looking at, like, you went from Dolby surround sound, which was the THX mastered like thing that he created, the Lucasfilm, what is it, Skywalker sound or whatever, ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, all of that comes from Star Wars. I mean, if you think about how long-reaching the big dick of Star Wars is, fucking the rest of the industry and creating,
Yeah.
creating all of these children, like, there was so much that came out of that. Like, I think he also got that hubris that I'm the guy who invents new ways to make movies.
Right.
Yeah.
We're gonna do this fucking thing on a soundstage with computers, bitches, and you're gonna just act in that. You're gonna pretend there's something there, and it'll be great. And that was part of the problem.
The problem that was with the prequel trilogy. Now, I will say, someone who loathed the prequel trilogy for many years, I went back about 6 or 7 years ago and I rewatched it for the first time in so many years with fresh eyes. And I found so much about it that I appreciate now. I do believe they are flawed films, but that the good outweighs the bad. And that, you know, that's what I think about those films. I think that the problem was, I think the flaws were, to your point, that George Lucas had complete creative control there. He wasn't working with other people. He didn't have anybody limiting his budget or anything like that. That's why we get 87 fucking minutes of pod racing in Phantom Menace. Because that whole thing is an advertisement for his fucking Lucasfilm, like,
Right.
company.
Yeah.
For look what we can do with, like, our graphics and our sound and everything.
There was no Lawrence Kasdan or Robert Marquand. Like,
Who were like, yeah, let's
guys.
actually impose a story on this
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
There was 87 fucking minutes of a pod race.
Mm-hmm.
But Sebulba was gorgeous.
Yes. Oh yeah, Shabalba. Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
he
That was one of the best sequences
very
in
brilliantly.
that film, though.
But it was just it insisted upon itself.
What about the Duel of the Fates? What about the great lightsaber
right.
battle at the end?
That is
Where-
one of the very best lightsabers.
Where the lightsabers don't actually touch
Yeah.
each other. You notice that? You ever watch those slowed
Yeah,
down
I've
versions
seen
where they?
that.
It's like they're supposed to be hitting each other, but they're
No.
like feet apart from each other.
Really?
The choreography was really intense.
Duel of the Fates was an incredible song, and that lightsaber duel is one of the very best. I think they got very poor the rest of that trilogy. The
Yeah.
one in Attack of the Clones at the end with Dooku
Oh.
is
Oh.
particularly bad.
I had such high hopes for
But it's
that.
li-
You see,
limited.
Yoda pulls out his lightsaber
Yeah.
and he does that thing where it like floats up into his hand, and you're like, "Oh my god, this is gonna be fucking awesome!" And then Yoda just turns into like this weird fucking
Yeah.
like flipping.
It's
Yeah.
Christopher.
Yeah.
I think Christopher Lee limited that. As great an actor as he was as the character, he couldn't pull off fucking fighting like a Jedi.
Yeah.
You know, like you look at the one in Revenge of the Sith too. It's the same thing. It's like Anakin beats him pretty handedly because he's an old man and he can barely move.
Mhm.
It's like Batman trying to turn his neck. It's just not happening. But
Good, Anakin. Kill him. Do it.
do it.
Do it.
Oh man, the Duel of the Fates. I remember watching that movie in 1999. Was the first new Star Wars experience I had ever had in a theater with some equally nerdy friends of mine at the time in high school, and we were watching it. And I remember watching the whole movie, going like, "Wow, wow, it's Star Wars, wow," and totally not thinking about like, "Wow, Jar Jar Binks, what a piece of shit."
Holy fuck.
Totally not thinking about the wooden acting.
Mm.
Totally not thinking about the
Yeah.
fact that Darth Vader's a little kid,
Yeah.
punk ass little bitch. Totally not thinking about the fact
Sit
that
down.
R2's in this.
I'm a person, and my name is Anakin.
Yeah, like none of that shit mattered to me because the only thing I walked out of that theater thinking about was when Darth Maul puts his lightsaber up
Yeah.
and another lightsaber came out.
Ooh.
Holy shit! It's a dual lightsaber staff fucking Donatello Ninja Turtle thing. Oh my god! And he proceeded to kick their asses.
And there's an earlier
Yeah.
lightsaber fight where they're like, it's like a running battle on Tatooine.
Yeah,
They're trying to
yeah,
get
on the
back to
sand, yeah.
ship. And he doesn't do the double bladed one,
No.
Yeah.
but it's still
They
a
held that.
really fucking cool sequence.
Yep.
Maul, you know, for real fans of Star Wars, everyone knows that Maul comes back in an intensely
Oh, they do a great
serious
job.
way.
They develop his character.
But for casual fans of Star Wars, everybody believes that he dies in The Phantom Menace, understandably.
yeah.
And it's a tragic waste of his character because he's a really, you know, Dooku was never that compelling of a villain. And Maul would have been a much better.
But even Dooku now, they're starting to retcon him a bit
Yeah.
and talking about how he was this great Jedi, Qui-Gon's
Yeah.
master, I guess.
He
and,
was, yeah.
And the fact that he thought he was doing the right thing to save the order, to save the galaxy.
Right.
Again, complicating the villains of the series.
Yeah, Disney likes to do that.
And this is where like Clone Wars at its best is really good. Clone Wars has some fucking horrendously cheesy
Oh,
episodes,
absolutely.
but it has some fucking really great episodes too. I think that Clone Wars single-handedly rescued the character of Anakin,
Mm-hmm.
who's very unlikable in the movies, but he's fucking awesome in the show.
Oh, yeah, much better on the show.
It created the character of Ahsoka, who's one of the best characters in the Star Wars canon. In my
Up there with
opinion.
Thrawn.
Up
Beloved.
there with Thrawn, exactly.
Yep.
And it created a far more compelling Dooku
Absolutely.
than the movies did.
And Grievous, for that matter.
Grievous is a fucking idiot.
He's
in
a
the movie.
cartoon.
He's an asshole in the
He is,
movies.
yeah, he's just like a half-assed
And he
programmed
just shows
droid.
up in that
Yes.
third movie.
Yeah,
And you're
it's
like,
just-
who the fuck is this coughing?
This is
weirdo?
big bad? What the fuck?
Yeah, and why the fuck is he coughing?
Kenobi.
By the way, I think we've reached the point where we're at like part 2 of this cast. I'm just
Yeah.
throwing that
Yeah,
out
we
there.
are.
If we want to keep going, this is part 2, firmly. But, did you guys ever see, I think it's Gennady Todorovsky's Clone Wars? They're starting the show again on Disney+. It was the original vision of Clone Wars. It is the guy who does Samurai Jack. If that rings any bells?
Loved Samurai Jack.
That creator did the original Clone Wars story,
Okay.
and it was Mace Windu and all these characters, and it's like it leads up directly to what happens at the beginning of Revenge of the Sith. So it fills that space very well, and it's got Asajj Ventress in there.
Oh, she's
It's
a cool
got
character.
it's got all these characters, and it's like it's uber badass.
Yeah.
The only thing that kind of sets it to the wayside are the last like 4 or 5 seasons of Clone Wars, where the original 3 seasons sucked. Let's be honest. Ahsoka was whiny and like what the fuck is this?
Not unlike Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker.
Indeed.
He becomes a great character. Ahsoka becomes, I mean, like you said, she's this whiny little brat in the first couple of episodes or seasons, and then by the end, she's a really compelling character.
It's kind of
and by Rebels, she's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's like the career of Bob Dylan.
I don't know that I agree with this point, but please proceed.
I believe you've made points
He
that
just-
Dylan
I feel
was
that he
better at
arrived
his
on the
early.
scene brilliant
Yeah.
to begin with.
Maybe more like the career of Kevin Costner. I don't know.
Yeah, also
go.
brilliant, just
Yeah.
beginning to end. The man has never made a bad movie.
Damn
let's be
it!
honest.
I don't know.
That was said with heavy sarcasm.
Yeah.
By the way,
Heavy
Kevin
sarcasm.
Costner, if you want to partner with us.
Maybe it's more
Yes.
like my sex life. It happens fast and it's best at the beginning.
Well, where's our Jeff Goldblum reference? Is that a Jeff Goldblum reference?
I mean, it could be.
That's true. We haven't made a Jeff Goldblum reference yet in this episode.
You did the best. You guys,
Honestly,
both of you.
I
You
can't
got-
copy that. I was gonna say, life will find a way.
I feel like there was a point here that you were making, Sean.
I totally
Must
lost it, guys.
Move faster.
I thought we were going to talk about The Mandalorian most of this episode. We've barely touched upon it.
We have not
at all.
touched upon it, and I was actually going to get to that when you mentioned Ahsoka
Yeah.
being great, because when she hits Mandalorian, oh geez,
I
that
didn't-
was great.
And I didn't know she was going to be in it.
No.
Didn't either until it happened.
When she showed up,
I hit
and
my
I realized
suspicions.
it was her. I am not hyperbolizing when I say I had goosebumps.
Oh,
Yep.
dude.
Literal goosebumps.
I read a lot of the crap online about this stuff because, I do. I'm a nerd.
Nerds.
Exactly. Thank
Yeah.
you. And I knew there was an inkling that she might appear. There was
Yeah.
rumors. There was thought that not Gina Torres. Well, who was cast as Ahsoka? I can't remember her
Forget
name
that.
right now. Great actress. She did a great job. But there were rumors, and then they saying, "Oh, it's gonna be like the last episode of the season. Like they'll tease it for a long time." No, she was there like episode 2.
Yeah.
Fuck. Here she is. Oh my god. Holy shit. Ahsoka. Live action. And she's fucking ruling this whole episode. It was incredible.
And with the 2 white lightsabers.
Yes!
Mm.
And then, the very last episode of that season, this is not a hyperbole. This is not an this is exactly what happened.
Rosario Dawson.
Thank you.
Sorry to interrupt.
She was fantastic.
Fantastic.
Also great in the Netflix Marvel stuff, but that's another
Yes.
nerdcast.
Another story.
She, or when they got to that last episode, I would watch everyone with my family. It was a ritualistic Friday. We would sit down, we would have dinner, and then we would watch The Mandalorian. And we were watching the final episode, and we were all arranged in my living room. I was in my lazy boy chair. I was sitting back, and
Taking a PBR.
I think I was drinking a rum and diet.
All right.
My usual. And I'm drinking it, and they get to the point where it's like they're all trapped on the bridge of that ship,
Mhm.
and those mega trooper things were coming, which goes back to Dark Forces, by the way. And they're like, it's all this big thing. I'm like, what's going to happen? And that X-Wing shows up. And I'm like, at that point, the hair on the back of I'm getting it now, even as I'm talking about it. The hair on the back of my head stood up. I'm like, no. I even said that. My
Yes.
kids are like sitting there looking at me like, what is this guy? Is Daddy okay?
What's happening?
As I'm going like, no. My wife's got this askance look at me because she's a casual fan. She's not an Uber fan. And I'm going, it can't be. It's got to be those jerks from earlier in the season, those guys that showed up. Like, it's like a red herring.
They were like fucking cops,
Right.
like pulling them over or something.
And I'm like, it's a blue stripe. It's not a red stripe. It's not red 1 or red 5. It's not Luke. And then
Fucking Luke.
they show it land. I'm like, at this point, I'm feeling it right now. My nipples are hard. I'm feeling it.
I can see it.
Woo! Oh, yeah.
Sean is not wearing a shirt for
yeah.
folks at home, and I can confirm his nipples are very hard right
Yeah.
now.
Then they do the perfect thing. They have this hooded figure, and I'm like, I'm like heavy breathing. I'm like,
wears a hood?
dude, I had my chair was up at this point. I'm on the edge of it. They sold me the whole seat.
Big
I
old hard
only
on.
needed the edge. I'm
Yeah.
going like this. You guys can't see me. I'm on the edge of my seat. And I'm like, it could be Ahsoka. It's gotta be Ahsoka. They were gonna bring her back. It's just supposed to be some kind of tease. Like, oh, you think it's Luke? No, it's Ahsoka, who's just still badass. And then the single lightsaber ignites. And it's on black and white CCTV, and then you see a glove.
Yeah.
I fucking lost it. And my kids can confirm this. I was on my knees in my living room in front of my TV going, oh my God, it's Luke! No!
There you
It
go.
was...
Yep.
It was a
Okay.
come to Jesus
I was gonna say,
moment.
excused yourself, you had to go change your pants.
Oh my
you were
God. I was crying.
Yeah.
By the end of it,
Wife
when
made
he
you a
takes
cigarette.
Grogu,
Yeah.
and it's like he just dispatched this like mega villain that they had
Yeah.
been building over several episode arc, and it's like, oh my God, I didn't care if the CGI wasn't great.
No.
They made Luke Skywalker the character I had waited 30 plus
Yes.
years to see,
Right.
and I'd finally realized in my head what Luke was supposed to be,
Right.
and it happened, and it was euphoric.
Absolutely. And this is what Dave Filoni understands about Star Wars that other people do not. I feel like J.J. Abrams wants to throw Easter eggs at the screen. And I feel like Rian Johnson wants to just shit all over everything we love about Star
He
Wars.
wants to break it to build it again.
And exactly.
Yeah.
And I feel like,
Well, it
you know,
insist upon itself.
I feel like Dave Filoni understands that can it be both? Another
Yeah.
great Family
Yeah.
Guy reference.
Yeah.
He understands that, like, I mean, what he's doing with Mandalorian is different from anything else. It's literally like watching a fistful of dollars with Clint Eastwood. You know, I mean, right from that, like, whoa, whoa, whoa thing, like, right from
yeah.
that first scene of
You
it,
expect
like,
spur sounds when
yeah,
he's walking.
exactly. And Mando is Blondie from the Man with No Name trilogy. You know,
Uh-huh.
what he's doing with Star Wars is a completely new thing, but at the same time, it honors the fact that it is Star Wars, that it's part of the same galaxy, that it doesn't have to say fuck everything else. I'm going to do my own thing.
Right.
It's fitting itself in
It
there.
still has Easter eggs galore.
Exactly.
The dark
Yeah.
saber.
Yeah.
Yeah, the dark
I mean,
saber.
Fucking dark saber.
Jesus.
I mean, the Mandalorians, by the way, and I say this as someone who despised on principle Boba Fett for so many years, because all
He's
you
a
heard,
chump.
all you heard was jerk offs for so many years. Like Boba Fett, yeah, I got this Boba Fett,
Badass.
like mint in box Boba Fett,
fucking
and
dies
shit.
like a
And I was like,
jackass.
dude, he says like 2 lines in the entire trilogy.
Yeah.
Put Captain Solo in the cargo. hold.
good to me dead.
That's right. That's like the extent of it.
Yeah.
I'm like, he's a fucking all right. But then, like, I think it started with the Clone Wars. It continued in Rebels. They took the Mandalorians and made them into a fascinating fucking people
Yeah,
with
absolutely.
a tragic history. And then now, the Mandalorian, the show, continues that. And by the way, Boba Fett comes back way cooler. For the first time,
yeah.
I'm a Boba Fett
Yeah.
fan. He's a fucking Ronin samurai when he shows
Exactly
up
what he is.
in
Yeah.
season 2.
Again, Dave Filoni
Yes.
knows what the fans, the hardcore fans need,
Yes.
and he knows how to do it without making it overt fan service, which was what the
Exactly.
Rise of Skywalker
It's both
was.
new and old. Yes.
It is. He is. They give him the keys to the Lamborghini and let him drive
Right.
it.
Careful what you say though, because as soon as you get what you wish for, you know, people are want to take it in such a hard direction that
Wow.
you'll veer from what it is. You'll veer from what the Star Wars franchise, you know, core is.
You may be right, Adam, but at the same time, at this point, he gave me badass Luke Skywalker as a Jedi.
This is true. We
I-
all wanted to see that scene where he was just throwing battle
Yeah.
droids aside like it was nothing.
Yeah.
And again, I don't
Yeah.
mean to keep ragging on The Last Jedi and Rian Johnson, but like, there was that moment, another goosebump inducing moment at the end of Force Awakens where Rey like runs up the stone steps and
Yeah.
you see Luke standing there in the hood, and then you start getting the swirly camera and you get that emotional music where she holds out the lightsaber and you can see the look in Luke's face, and then it's roll credits. And for fucking 2 years, like
Yeah.
we're like,
We
what?
waited.
What?
Yeah.
What happens next? And Rian Johnson's idea was, you've been waiting for this. He's gonna fucking roll it up like a wrapper from Burger King and chuck it over
Yeah.
his shoulder.
Yeah.
And he's
Like
got the hand and
Yeah.
everything. And
now I can't even take that. The one moment I really liked from the new trilogy, I can't even enjoy it anymore. because I know what Luke does next.
But the worst thing about it, the worst crime is that the Rise of Skywalker is 10 times worse than the Last Jedi.
It's such a piece of shit. It's a steaming bag of shit. It's not even shit. It's fucking diarrhea.
It's worse than fan fiction. I've got 10th graders who could have wrote a better movie than that.
I agree. Right from like the opening notes. It's like this fucking like Kylo Ren's on a mission. Where's he going? And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, is that Palpatine? Like he's been dead like 30 years.
Yeah.
Like, do they know that?
Oh.
Does J.J. Abrams know? Oh, it's some kind of cloning facility.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, he was the voice
And he
of
happens to be the
bad guy
exact
the whole
same
time.
as he was originally,
Right.
even though you cloned
Yeah.
him, which is not how clones work.
No, that's not how clones
Oh,
work.
but he was falling apart. There was something wrong. He needed Rey, who happens to be his granddaughter. What?
His granddaughter, and apparently there's been a prophecy for 9 episodes that we
Yeah.
didn't know
Yeah.
about.
No.
Right.
Now there's this prophecy.
Oh, there's this ancient knife that lines up with the wreckage of the Death Star, which has only been there for about 50 years.
Yeah,
But it's
now
this
we know.
marker.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. And the prophecy concerns Rey. This is the Skywalker saga,
Yeah.
and the movie is called Rise of Skywalker.
Uh-huh.
But the prophecy concerned Rey.
But she changed her name.
Yeah.
Yeah, something
They
like
filled
that.
out some
She goes
paperwork.
back to Uncle Owen's burned out thing, which is still
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
What, 60
Yeah.
years now?
60
70?
years
Something
later.
like
No one
that.
took it over.
Not
Still
covered
there.
in sand.
Yeah.
And someone happens to be walking by in the middle of a fucking desert
Yeah.
that conveniently asks the question, who are you? I'm Rey Skywalker.
Rey Skywalker.
Fuck you.
God, I mean, it was just...
God,
oh,
it was
man.
awful.
Like I said, Ryan Johnson's film was a good movie. It just was a bad Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
J.J. Abrams' Episode 9 was just by any measure a
Yeah.
fucking shit.
Disaster.
Yeah, it was just fucking terrible.
That was corporate malfeasance.
Ugh.
Absolutely all the way through. Bad stuff. In fact, I think people are praying that Disney realized the error of its ways, and they're hoping that George Lucas and Dave Filoni will reboot it and save the franchise through time travel, which, incidentally, was introduced in Rebels. When Ezra goes into that nexus of the Force and
with all the
saves
doors and
Ahsoka,
shit.
because one of the
Yeah.
most badass moments in that series is
Yes.
when she fights Vader and
And you don't know what
confronts him.
happens to her.
We think she's dead, but we don't know because Vader's walking away. His mask's cut. You gotta
Right.
watch the series.
I've
Adam.
gotta
So
watch.
good, dude.
This
Yeah.
that battle at the end of season 2 with Maul
Yeah.
and Vader and Ahsoka
Mhm.
all on that Sith
Yep.
planet. Oh my God, it's epic! And
Vader, by the way, shows up. Speaking of epic, he shows up standing on his fucking TIE
the
fighter.
TIE Advance
That just comes
Whoa.
around the edge of the
Yes.
cliff.
It just
That's
yeah,
and
it
he's
just,
standing there, lightsaber drawn. Like,
yes.
holy shit, is that
And he
epic.
faces down with his Padawan, and she knows it's
Wow.
him at that point.
Yeah.
Oh, she slices off part of his mask. You can see his Anakin
Yes.
eye. It's not a full
Ooh.
Sith eye. It's crazy good. The
Yes.
pathos is immense.
Mhm.
But anyway, Ezra goes into this Nexus of the Force thing that he discovers on Lothal at this
Right.
temple, and he's able to pull her out of time into the future. So they've already established canonically, because this is Disney now,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
that perhaps they could undo the whole new
What they've
trilogy
done.
and maybe
It was just a dream.
You know what? At
I would
this
love that.
point, would I be that upset about it?
No.
Nope, not one bit. Normally, those kind of contrivances would
Yeah.
piss me right the fuck
Yeah,
off.
But at this point,
I would be happy. I
'Cause
would welcome it.
yeah, I agree. I don't usually like I thought that was kind of stupid in the Star Trek reboot where they were like, oh, this is a slightly different.
It's the
timeline.
Kelvin timeline.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that was kind of not something that I appreciated. I thought it was bad storytelling.
Yeah.
But
J.J. Abrams.
also
Yeah.
J.J. Abrams, right?
Yes.
So there's precedent there too. But the fan in me, like I love everything else, as I've said, that Disney has done. I wish 7, 8, and 9 had not happened. In my view, when Return of the Jedi ends, it still ends the way I always thought it did. The all the shit about the New Order and all that shit, 7, 8, and 9, I block it out. There's
Yeah.
a mental block. It does not
It's
exist.
fanfic. You know what? I got the best way to end this whole
It's
thing.
Legends.
Yes. Yes. You know why 6 is afraid of 7, Mike?
Because 7, 8, 9.
That's all you have to say about it.
Yep.
I think
All right.
We've casted
I
enough for
think
this
you've
evening.
done it.
We
Yeah.
have
Should we do the throw to the next cast? Do we need to do that?
Yeah.
Host
Yeah.
man?
If we're ready.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Host man.
Saga.
Kevin Costner?
No, I said host man. Sorry.
Oh, host man. Yeah, yeah. All right. So we heard the bell, and in preparation for the next cast, we want to make sure y'all know what to read and comment on the socials with us. So, gents, what are we reading next?
Well, we've got the series of graphic novels by Brian K. Vaughan, right? And
Yeah.
it's Saga. Celebrated series, also a space opera, also influenced by Star Wars, but very much 21st century in its own thing. Pretty wild adventure. Sean, I know you've been reading it and enjoying it.
Indeed. I'm a big fan of Vaughn. Adam got me he got me hooked on Why the Last
I
Man.
did it. Yeah.
And he's just, I appreciate his level of storytelling and just the artist collaborations he brings in. It's always really cool to see, and I'm really looking forward to doing a graphic novel with our next text, guys. It's going to
Fuck
be
yeah.
great.
Hell yeah. So, so everybody knows, what volumes are we reading? So everybody kind of stays with us here.
Well, we had said 1 through 3. I don't know. If we had,
and Sean has blown past.
we have to
1
have
through
a
3.
business meeting and decide.
Yeah.
It's going to be at
Board of
least
directors.
1 through 3.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if not more.
Yeah. You know what? Read what you will. At least 1 through 3, like Mike
Right.
was saying.
Yeah.
And, we'll probably chat a little bit more about that.
Right.
But
We'll give a spoiler warning.
And,
Yeah.
and to be clear, that's volume 1 through 3, so that's issues 1 through 18.
It is an
Yeah.
unfinished story.
Yeah.
So at this point,
ongoing, yeah.
we will. We're gonna have to do like take this all with a grain of salt. Spoiler warnings. Yada 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 yada. Who gives a shit? Listen to our cast.
Yeah.
See if we can get Brian K. Vaughan on for the second one. He has not responded to my emails.
He's probably-
surprisingly.
Probably a little intimidated.
Hey,
I get that.
Probably a little.
Let's call to action. Let's finally activate the Nerds of the Old Republic signal.
Yes.
All of you nerd subscribers out there, hit up Brian K. Vaughan on his socials and tell him
Yes.
you need to talk to the Nerds of the Old Republic because we fucking rule.
Yeah,
Yes, we
and
do.
he kicks ass, and we want to talk.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
really would love to fawn over him.
He's only on Instagram, by the way.
Gonna fawn over Vaughn. Let's do this 2 episodes in a row.
Ooh.
Fawn over Vaughn after we've read Thrawn.
After we read Thrawn
Oh,
by Timothy Zahn.
good thing I cut my lawn today because it's gonna get snowing.
I did.
It's gonna get snowing.
We'll see you next week.
Yeah, prove it.